A hardware parts lightsaber is a found parts style lightsaber hilt that people either make on their own just by kind of cobbling together parts that they have. Well, they could be parts just found at home, but they also could be parts from a local home improvement store or a local hardware store, hence the name hardware store lightsaber. So these lightsabers often have a very much of a homemade feel. Now that can vary a lot. So some of them can be more crude and some of them can be more refined. It depends on how much time the builder is putting into the hardware store lightsaber, and also maybe how much skill they have as well. So a lot of times some of the components, they might be identifiable, recognizable as pieces sort of from, the plumbing section of the store. There'll be a lot of PVC oftentimes used with hardware store lightsabers. But sometimes people will cut out things too, like whoever made this hardware store lightsaber, they cut out this shroud. That's what it looks like. It's a little bit of an imperfect cut. So that kind of shows the person behind the creation of this hilt. It's also fun. People can find little greeblies like this, just some pieces that catch your eye. Anything that looks really cool, you could sort of turn into a greebly that looks like an activation switch for the lightsaber hilt. Here's sort of this accordion style kind of plastic thing, probably, from the plumbing section again. And some PVC was used for the pommel. So you can still use familiar kind of lightsaber features like a D-ring here. That makes it more familiar and easy to wear also. So that can be a nice thing to add. But they're just a lot of fun. So I kind of like the creativity of these found parts lightsabers, these hardware store lightsabers, because they do look cobbled together, and that can mean that they look a little more real world in a way, rather than Star Wars world like. But at the same time, they can also look a little more realistic. You can really see the maker behind them sometimes, and you can even identify some of the kind of components in the hilt and maybe recognize it from, plumbing or from the home improvement stores, that type of thing. So I think they're fun, and they can definitely be an affordable way, for somebody to get a first lightsaber, whether they're purchasing a hardware store lightsaber or whether they're making one themselves. The parts costs are pretty low because, you don't have to machine the parts yourself. You just go and use existing parts. So, that often brings the price point down quite a lot. And it's just a creative endeavor. You can just look for parts that look really cool to you and really make a lightsaber your own if you construct a hardware store lightsaber. So that's just a quick summary of that. Have you ever made a hardware store lightsaber? I know that some people in the lightsaber community, that's how they got their start. Like their very first lightsaber, an early lightsaber will be something similar to this. But yeah, please comment below. And I didn't make this, by the way. I purchased this secondhand, and I'm in fact not sure who made it, but I think it's kind of neat anyway. So, yep, let's talk a little bit more about hardware store lightsabers below.